your this question body language, right? How are you, Arshia? How are you doing?
Fine, sir.
Good. I see from this form that you come from Una district.
Yes, sir.
Have you lived there?
Sir, I only used to go there during the vacations, like when I was a child. I hail from Muna district, but I've lived in Shimla for almost my entire life.
And despite being a computer science graduate,
Yes, sir.
you opted for administration, and for the last 1 year, I think, since for the last 2 years now,
Yes,
you are in excise and taxation
Yes, sir.
department.
Yes.
How has been your experience?
So the experience has been very good. My father has also been in the same department, so I knew a little bit about the trials and tribulations of the department. So, sir, joining the department has been a really nice experience. I got to learn a lot about excise and taxation, state taxes and excise. We would go out on checkings, and so it has been a very pleasant experience so far, sir.
What is the assignment you are holding at the moment?
So,
What is your present assignment?
So currently we are dealing with, like initially I dealt with GST, currently we are dealing with excise. We go on checkings for the micro
Can you repeat my
breweries.
question? What is the position you are
So
holding?
the position I'm holding right now, I'm the Assistant Commissioner in the State Taxes and Excise in District Shimla.
District Simla.
Yes, sir.
Alright. I see that you have shown dancing and doodling as your hobbies.
Yes, sir.
What dance? What's your favorite dance?
Sir, initially, like as a child, I learned Kathak. Then since school, it's been more of contemporary and Bollywood dancing. And presently, like whenever I get some free time, I'll do Zumba or I'll just do dancing. It really releases a lot of tension and stress. So I just enjoy dancing as a hobby right now.
From Kathak to Zumba,
Yes, sir.
you find, where you learned Kathak?
So Kathak, I was in Kullu. I was like in school. So we would have weekly classes. Like on every weekend, we would have 2 hour classes. So at that point of time, I learned Kathak.
Do you feel ever since you joined the department, and since then, has the government taken any new initiatives in the tax collection? Some new steps you have taken?
So lately, there has been more of digitization in the tax department. So initially, there was a lot of paperwork, but now we've moved to the more digital end. And so since the GST regime has come in, a lot of things have changed. The ITC mismatches are being taken care of, so the GST revenue is increasing. The legacy cases, the previous cases are being taken care of. So, sir, like, it's not that with the new regime we've lost track of the previous cases. The legacy cases are being taken care of very well. So, sir, in the entirety, the GST is doing better than that. And, sir, I think that these are the changes that have come up. The digitization, the overall, I feel that the corruption has also decreased in this department since GST has come in. So, sir.
How has been GST doing in the last 1 or 2 years? I mean, say particularly last 1 year.
So last 1 year we expected the returns and the overall turnover to be very less, but sir, it turned out to be fine. And so presently we're getting assistance from the center as well. But within 2 years, we will be good to go without the center's assistance. Our collections are good enough, sir, to sustain the state.
No. I find some inconsistency in your reply.
Yes, sir.
Why should you think about central assistance if your collection is good? Is up to the norm.
Sir,
Are you aware what is the assurance given by the central government if suppose there are some shortages in the GST collection? How central government will recompensate?
So the central government was providing us assistance for the initial years because we were shifting to a new tax regime. So they understood that, of course, coming back to the normal tax rate would take time. So we were given a good gap of like 5-6 years for from the center's point of view. So to keep the GST and keep the states on track when it comes to the revenue collection.
And if our collections fall short of the target or with the previous year collections, then?
Yes, sir, in that case, we usually apply for loans, and sir, the World Bank assists us. But sir, apart
There's
from
no responsibility of the central government.
sir, there is the responsibility of the central
That's
government.
what I say. What is that understanding? What is that? What is the agreement that the central government has signed with the states? That's what I want to.
Sir, I'm not sure of that. Sir, I'm studying that.
You live in Kallog.
Yes, sir.
There is a forest depot in Kallo.
Yes, sir.
What are you aware that what are the main sources of its supply? From which area the wood comes to this center?
No, sir.
Have you been taking help of your father in whenever there is a problem you see in some particular?
Yes, sir. It really helps, like having him in the same department, because so many times he's been in the same situation that I've been in. So like whenever there's a case and I have some difficulty in understanding or some difficulty in deciding what to do, so he does really help in that case.
Okay. Now you are comfortable and
Yes, sir.
all right. So now we come to the Mr. Valmeet and he'll ask you the question.
Actually, you said GST is doing better than VAT when
Yes, sir.
interacting with
Yes,
chairman, sir. So can you tell me one instance how GST is doing better than VAT? Not in terms of collection,
Yes, sir.
otherwise.
Sir, GST has basically GST is a destination-based tax. So one of the benefits that is there right now is that the consumer state is getting the taxes. So that's one of the being a destination-based tax. The consumer state, like the state who is buying all the things, that is the state that's getting the benefit, and that is how it should be. Like the consuming state should get its share. So apart from that, bringing up digitization, so the corruption has decreased because there is a mechanism to check everything online. So like e-way bills, whatever goes online, you can put in the GSTN number and you can check for everything. So that has become.
But that could have been done with VAT as well.
Yes, sir, of course. So that could have been done.
That is
yes, sir.
digitization. That
Yes,
is
sir, yes,
separate.
So the cascading effect in the taxes have decreased due to GST. So the ITC returns are being provided at every level. So the extra tax which was initially there, so that has minimized a lot. So basically, at the end of the day, it has benefited the consumer and also the manufacturers. Like the overall taxpayer has decreased. So that is how.
Do you think there's a lot of regulatory hassle which is involved, say for a small shop owner?
Yes,
He has to file so many returns.
Yes, sir.
And he has to keep an accountant, a CA.
Yes, sir.
So that aspect has really troubled and it has increased the
Yes,
cost
sir.
as well.
Yes, sir. So what they're trying to do is because initially, like in the initial phase, the new act has started, so it was tough for everybody to understand. So our department had set up trainings and our department had set up sessions like for the traders to make them understand. And so apart from that, the government is trying to decrease the number of return filings, so like only a monthly return and an annual return. They're trying to like make it user friendly. The GST portal that has been put up, they've tried to make that like the database very user friendly so that even the simplest of manufacturers, the simplest of shopkeepers can understand what is going on.
Then why aren't they keeping petrol and diesel under GST? That will bring down the prices.
Yes, sir. So that is being talked about. Sir, like from a lot of time, this the discussion has been going on to bring it under GST because, of course, the prices will fall. Like if we bring it under the GST regime, so it's taking time now.
No, there's the government is suggesting 2-3 specific reasons that why they are not putting petrol and diesel under the GST regime. So are you aware of those reasons? There was a research recently conducted by SBI which suggested that up to 7.25 rupees, lowering down the petrol rate by 7.25 rupees, will not affect the revenues of the government at all. So are you aware of that study?
No, sir.
It has been.
Yes, sir.
So right now you're working with GST or you're with excise?
Like we're switching between the two. Right now we're under training, so they keep changing our profiles. So we're studying both of them.
What is the target revenue of HP State by selling liquor vends this season?
So overall from the state, it should be around 500 to 600 crores.
From the state?
Yes, sir. So the taxation from the.
The entire target revenue for Chandigarh it's 700 crores. So for HP it has to be a bigger.
So for the entire year from all the districts.
For,
and the
yeah. The target year for HP, the target revenue for HP State, I'm asking the figure. That is given by your department.
So I think it was something like 500 crores.
No, it can't be 500 crores. Okay. Arshia, there's a lot of talk in Himachal about wheat cultivation being legalized and people comparing it to liquor
Yes,
and then suggesting that it will be good for the financial health of the state. What is your take on it? Should wheat cultivation be legalized?
So for medicinal purposes, like in a form that it can be regulated.
No, for recreating purposes.
Uh, so, sir, it becomes a little controversial in that case. But sir,
What is your views on it?
sir, I feel it should like, of course, it will help the state finances, because any which ways it's being done in the state, and any which ways people are earning from the state. So this is a question that, yes, why not make it legal so that the state also benefits? But sir, the repercussions of making wheat cultivation legal would be very easy availability for a lot of people who presently are not able to find these things. So
Right.
sir, that would like push the youth into a very bad state.
That is for liquor too? That is true for liquor too?
Yes, sir. Sir, but this is more, I feel like these things, like when it comes to hard drugs, these are more addictive. And sir, they have like, of course, both like liquor and weed, both of them would be very harmful for the health. But sir, weed becomes a very like hard to leave substance. So sir, I feel like liquor has been legalized and everything for a very, very long period of time. But legalizing another drug, and then somebody is going to say the same thing for some other drug, and that now that you started legalizing. So sir, in order to save the youth, because our state is already in that state.
So do you think banning liquor can help? You said your state is in a very bad state.
So when it comes to the drugs point of view,
No, banning liquor. Bihar has done it.
Yes, sir.
Gujarat has been a dry
yes,
state.
sir.
There has been a very selective availability of liquor in Kerala.
Yes, sir.
So do you think banning liquor will help Himachal pull out of this drug menace?
Sir, it would help, but I don't think it is plausible. Like for the state point of view, there are so many tourists and everything going on in the state. Like our state is a tourism-based state. So, sir, removing like banning liquor here would like be counterproductive when it comes to tourism as well.
So even I think when you say that your state is an important destination for tourism,
Yes, sir.
so legalizing weed would really pick up the revenues.
So, but something which has already been banned, something which is not being used, and it is harmful for a lot of people. So, sir, why
So
legalize
is
it?
liquor. So is liquor.
So, but it's already there. So, like.
So that tells me you're anti-reforms.
So not really, but reform that is harmful for the people, I would want it, like something which is not being done right now, and there's a possibility that it can be stopped. So
Okay.
instead of initiating that.
Fair. Arshia, what is the importance of Pangong So Lake vis-a-vis the India-China relationships? So why are both countries so adamant to be there at the initial position, especially when it comes to Pangong So Lake?
So apart from being like, it is also presently it has also become a strategic hotspot for both the countries. So, sir, the border dispute has been an issue for a very, very long time. So both the countries were trying to cover that particular.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. I want your answer to be particularly pertaining to Pangong So Lake only.
Alright, sir. So firstly, being a strategic hotspot, and sir, apart from that, because the issue has like highlighted so much, so both the countries, like also in order to assert dominance, the area has become very talked about.
The lake has certain specific strategic importance as well as economic importance.
Yes, sir.
So, are you aware of what is the specific significance of the lake? Actually, we have been switching to faceless income tax returns, and people are been talking about a lot of advantage of faceless IT returns. Can you suggest me one disadvantage of a faceless income tax return?
बस ठीक ठीक थैंक यू
What is the total income tax collection of India in this budget? What is the total GST collection of India?
So for Himachal, it is 4,000
For Himachal, it is?
crores.
Okay, for India? what steps, 3 steps that you can take to increase the revenue of the state in your department?
Yes, sir. So firstly, by removing the pendencies, so there's a lot of pendency in our department, especially the previous regime, like the legacy cases. So sir, firstly by dealing with those cases, and sir, there is a little bit of a staffing issue as well, especially now that we don't have barriers, so we have to go for checkings and inspections. So like one thing I would suggest would be to put up barriers like with the fast tag mechanism, so that all the cars passing and all the trucks passing, at least we have their details. Like instead of going for a physical verification and physical checking, it's not possible to check all of those things.
Right.
So sir, 2 would be these. So apart from that, in order to increase the collection, so the goods bracket presently for GST registration is 40 lakhs. So sir, being a hill state, 40 lakhs, like a lot of people do not fall into that bracket. So sir, that should be 20 lakhs, like mostly for the small states it's 20 lakhs, so that should be 20 lakhs in order to like increase our reach. So sir, these would be the 3 steps I would suggest.
Arshiya, Shimla district has faced a lot of water crisis.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you aware of any initiatives taken by the administration
Yes,
to
ma'am.
overcome this problem?
Yes, ma'am. And firstly, the World Bank, we've teamed up with the World Bank, and a project is coming up to provide Shimla with 24/7 water supply. The water will be pumped from Satluj, and that will be reaching out to the entire district in order to solve the water crisis, because we've been facing that like for the past 1 decade. The issue has been very prominent. So a lot of people, especially during the summers, so for that purpose, the World Bank is being.
So do you think always externally funded projects will help us, or do we need to take some more measurements?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, we do need some more measurements. But ma'am, institutions like World Bank, ma'am, they finance all the states and all the countries that need help, like at any point of time. So, our state is providing results in return whenever we get some kind of assistance. So usually, like we provide what we have committed. So, ma'am, I feel like the external assistance is really helpful, especially in case of a small state like Himachal. But apart from that, of course, like Atmanirbhar Bharat is being talked about. So we need to focus on our own growth, on our own productions, so that we don't have to depend on it.
You just mentioned Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Yes, ma'am.
What is it all about?
Ma'am, like self-sufficient India, basically, that the production, everything should be in our own country, like to reduce its reliance on other countries, export, import. Like recently it was in news that cargoes will be manufactured in our own country now. Like we have had a lot of dependence from countries like China. So in a situation of crisis, it always becomes an issue. So if we become self-reliant, that will be like, it will decrease our dependency on other countries, and obviously it will provide an economic and financial impetus to our own country as well.
Can you think of some example where we have used this Atmanirbhar Bharat in Himachal?
Yes, ma'am.
Any district, any area, any dimension you can think of?
Ma'am, like Himachal is known for its horticulture. So a lot like HPMC or Minchis, ma'am, a lot of them are working on food processing. They're making jams and which are being sold throughout the country. So ma'am, like the locals are being educated about it, and so a lot of handicrafts. So the paintings, the chamba rumal, a lot of things that belong to the state are now being marketed nicely, and they're going out to people. They're reaching out to a wider audience. So ma'am, like from the Himachal point of view.
The Snow Festival of Lawrence with the
Yes,
district
ma'am.
has been in news
Yes.
throughout. I think it has been more than 2 months now
Yes,
we
ma'am.
are celebrating this
Yes, ma'am.
festival. What do you think? What will be the outcomes of this festival? Because for the first time the administration has,
Yes,
has been managing
Yes,
it.
ma'am.
What will be the outcomes?
Ma'am, firstly, it gives like the entire state, when you see this on the news, for such a long time. So a better insight into the culture. Ma'am, when a festival like this happens, people from outside also visit, so they get a better understanding of the culture. The local people get an idea of what the people from outside want, how they like their foods, and a lot of their market also increases. Ma'am, when a festival like that comes, people who come there, they stay in homestays, they stay in all of those places, so it like impacts the financial condition of the place as well. And it gives a better communication to the areas such as Lahore, Spiti, Kinnaur, the areas which are a little remote as compared to the rest of the state. So with festivals like that, there is a better communication between.
Any peculiar achievement or any peculiar feature of the administration, Lahore administration, in organizing this festival? Can you recall? Thank you.
Ashia, you have been in service for the past 2 years or so. How have you evolved?
I feel like the maturity level in me, with time, like understanding the other person's point of view. When you go to an office, there is a hierarchy, you understand all of that. So apart from that, discipline, no matter what has been going on, you have to go to your office the next day, you have to start fresh. So there's a lot of discipline, a lot of maturity, a lot of balance between work life and personal life, which was initially it was just studying and all of that. So career point of view and the personal life. So maintaining that balance, understanding a lot about the administration. So all of these things have happened in the past few years.
And in between all this, you continue with your doodling and dancing?
Whenever I get time, I try. I am really interested in drawing, so I keep making something. If I get half an hour free, I'll keep it to myself. I just take a page and I'll start drawing one thing, and then that will lead to another. So I just or I'll draw a mandal and I'll keep coloring it. So it gives me a calm in my head, a peace of mind. So it feels good to release that stress in these forms.
As a genre, doodling is an accepted genre with regard to sketching. But have you heard of doodling in singing also? Vocal doodling? Have you heard of vocal doodling
No,
also?
sir. Yes.
Okay, what Kishore Kumar used to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, beautiful. And you have talked about dancing.
Yes.
You were into classical dancing?
Sir, I learned it for a year when I was in school. Initially, I learned Kathak. But after that, it was more I used to participate in schools, and this was just my hobby. So I would do contemporary, and then we switched to Bollywood, and then in my college I had a dance group. So there also we would switch various dance forms. Sometimes we would do contemporary. We've also done salsa. So we would do various dance forms in college and as well as in school. So I've not stuck to one dance form. It's just a hobby that I like doing it in any form whatsoever.
Most of our Indian film heroines,
Yes.
I'm talking of Bollywood,
Yes, sir.
so they have been coming from the discipline of dance.
Yes, sir.
Why specifically this?
So dance is an art form which, it is not just the movement of your body, it's expression. So a person who is into dancing, usually those people are very good with dramatics as well. So I feel like when somebody is into dancing, it's an art form where you express with your entire body, your face, your hands, all of your gestures. So that's why I feel like a lot of people from Bollywood who make it into acting, they usually come from the dancing field.
How have you heard of the classical concept of rasas?
Yes, sir. I've
No,
heard of
yes.
it. Yes, sir.
What's that?
So
It has to do a lot with your dancing.
Yes, sir.
How you emote, there are some
Yes, sir. The
specific
yes, sir.
nine form of
Anger
emotion.
and so how you depict all of those moods through the medium of dancing. So happiness, anger, sadness, agony. So all of these
It's a kind of a language of
Yes, sir.
mood depiction.
So with the form of expression, with the form of hand gestures, people try to bring out that particular mood in the form of dance.
See, have you heard of other classical forms of dance also?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Which are very, very specifically taking up this theory of rasas. Very classical and old dance forms.
Sir, Kuchipudi,
Kuchipudi.
sir, yes, sir. So those dances, basically in South India, they are very strong when it comes to expressions. They are very expressive. So, sir, Those are the dances.
Is Kalaripattam also a dance form?
Yes, sir.
Kalaripattam is a dance form? Kalaripattam?
I think so. I'm not sure.
And what about Kathakali?
Kathakali is a dance form. sir.
Kathakali is a dance
Yes.
form. Very good. We lot of have been expressed about that track, kind of railway track link of Pune and Hamirpur.
Yes, sir.
Why it is taking time? It's a 50-kilometer stretch.
Yes,
That's
sir.
50 plus.
Sir, there has been a lot of mismanagement when it comes to, sir, initially with the tenders, and sir, it's always been one issue or another. And so with the governments changing, it always like keeps on getting postponed. So
There are no allocations this year
yes, sir.
for that.
Yes, sir. So everybody thought that this budget would change something about it, but still no heed was paid to the tax. So
Okay, during these new corona
yes, sir.
pandemic,
Yes, sir.
the lifestyle has changed, even the way you have been delivering your service would have
Yes, sir.
changed. So what were your key learnings in this period?
So firstly, like they say about Atmanirbhar Bharat, so the COVID times have taught everybody to be self-reliant. We were very dependent on the outside, we were very dependent on other people. So being in just those four walls, it teaches you a lot, like what the important things in life are, how to be happy without going out, how to, like, I did not know how to cook, so I learned that in the COVID period. And I also got corona, so like for 14 days, I was in a single room, so like how to entertain yourself, how to not fall into that phase where you start feeling very sad, because there's so much of sad news going around. You keep hearing people losing their lives every day, so it's very hard to stay positive. So sir, all of these things I learned in the corona period.
If you were to describe at least two traits of yours
Yes, sir.
which should convince the board here that you should be taken in
Yes, sir.
as a candidate,
Yes,
just
sir.
describe.
So firstly, I have the ability to work in a team. So I have the ability to take people together. So since college, since school, I've headed groups, I've headed dance groups, I've headed the culture, I've been the head of the cultural club in my college. So sir, I know how to take people together, what people want in a particular situation. So I know how to take people together, and with that also comes leadership. I know how to take people along a particular track. I know how to get work done. I know how to work with the team. So sir, these would be the two traits that I feel would be the most defining in me.
And as a leader, what do you think you're the highest on the value kind
Yes,
of list?
Yes, sir.
What do you think that should be the highest value which should inculcate or you have in you?
Sir, in me, sir, I don't know if it's true for everybody, but for me it is empathy, understanding the other person's point of view. So that for me really comes at the top. So because everybody feels for themselves, everybody has that selfish kind of a nature about themselves, but to be able to understand the emotions of the other person, to be able to understand what the other person is going through, what space they are coming from. So sir, I feel like the quality of empathy is the one that
Normally we always talk about control and command kind of
Yes, sir.
management,
Yes, sir.
leadership. Do you go by this?
No, sir. Because then that is just fear. That is the kind of training that it might get your work done, but there won't be a lot of productivity because people don't have that kind of an understanding amongst them. So sir, unless there is dialogue between the entire team, unless there's cohesion between the entire team, so sir, I don't think the controlling demeanor works that well.
See, the kind of environment we have around us,
Yes,
it's
sir.
really not really ethical,
Yes,
to be
sir.
honest.
Yes, sir.
And being an ethical person, to be
Yes, sir.
precise, moral
Yes,
person,
sir.
do you think it's a kind of really very burdensome?
Sir, it depends on how a person takes it also, I feel, because a lot of people say that being honest in the services is very difficult, but I don't think it is so. Somebody who has to stay honest, somebody who has to stay moral will do so in every...
You are doing
Yes,
very
sir,
well.
I enjoy the job.
And
Yes, sir.
why prize all this?
Sir,
You are happy?
the scope that the administrative services has is way wider than the excise and taxation department. I've always wanted to be in the services, but I was lucky enough as well to get 2 years of experience in the excise and taxation department. the department is very good, but sir, the scope of service, like I get to be an SDM, so there is so much more to learn in the administrative services as compared to, like, of course there's learning in both.
Are you
but
aware, perhaps your father might tell you that there are many officers of your cadre
Yes, sir.
who didn't choose to be in HAS.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was the reason? What could be the reason that they opted for this and instead of? You see, there are many
Sir,
officers of your.
excise and taxation was a very popular department initially. So since the GST has come up, things have changed, and like I was talking about, the corruption and everything has decreased. So sir, the department has, it's not very alluring for people anymore. So now people are, sir, initially excise and taxation was such a department due to, like I said in the previous times, that it was known for all of these things. So a lot of people wanted to be in this department, but since the GST regimes, things have changed a lot. So I feel that's why people are switching to the administrative services now.
Any questions by
That's
anybody?
all.
Any questions?
Thank you, Arshia.
Thank you,
Just
Arshia.
2 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll bring